281-446-0862. Tell them Lyndon sent you.
Your responsibilities as an owner, executive, regional, or local manager in the multifamily apartment industry are endless. From
all right, gentlemen, a
overseeing
minute, 30
units to the
seconds.
concerns and issues of residents, you deal with problems every day. Avoid the pitfalls that occur in the multifamily industry on Multifamily Matters with Paul Marks. Paul and his guest will discuss topics that range from working better with your residents to cutting-edge methods to increase your property's market value. Multifamily Matters, because multifamily matters. Fridays at 10 on KTEK.
It's no secret around here. I like things my way. My way keeps our customers happy. My way keeps us on budget. My way keeps this place running. And my way means ordering from Grainger. They've got what we need when we need it. With simplified checkout, dedicated customer reps, and knowledgeable product experts, I can order online, on the phone, or at a branch the way I like it. My
Morning, Facebook.
way. When it comes to effortless ordering, Grainger's got your back. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What's going on, Glenn?
Showtime in 30.
Hey, Glenn, I need,
Maybe
I'm
you're
gonna need you
being
for a case study
transferred
next
and
month.
need
You
to
ready?
quickly sell your existing home. Consider Marla Lewis with Entourage Real Estate. Marla has over 15 years of experience in the real estate industry. And whether you're buying or selling a home in town or on the water, she'll work tirelessly to get you the best price with the best terms possible. Don't delay. Contact Marla Lewis today at 832-868-6091.
Coming on standby.
EntourageRealtors.com.
This is Business 1110. The following program, paid for by Right Path Real Estate, does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the staff, management, or ownership of
But
this
it
station.
should be.
It's time to get on the right path with Right Path Real Estate Radio with Tom Perry. Get the answer to your question that's keeping you from taking action and succeeding today. Get ready. The guy that will put your fears behind you is on the air now. Taking calls at 713-785-1817. Toll free 877-881-0271. Now here's your host, Tom Perry.
Mics are hot.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. I am not Tom Perry. I am Daniel Gollinger, subbing in for Tom Perry. He doing a little Disney this morning. I'm joined in studio by my good friend Undrea King. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me out. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I got free reign on the show this morning, and my first thought was, you know what? I'd like to talk a little bit about some wholesaling and that sort of stuff this morning. It seems to be a topic that comes up a lot. We get a lot of people that come out to our free events that are interested in starting in that area of the business and things like that. And very often we try to tell them, hey, why is that? Right. Because people often think that, hey, that's the way to start in this business.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is, hey, that's a completely different business, and it's a different skill set. And so I thought, who better to talk in studio with that than you this morning? So why don't you tell us a little bit about your story and how you got started? I know you started in the gym industry, right? So you got some sales background.
Yeah. So I started in the gym industry. I was actually with 24 Hour Fitness for 14 years as a general manager there. And, decided that I wanted to do something a little bit different. And like a lot of people that was watching like the HGTV shows, I started watching those shows, and I was watching a show called Flip or Flop.
Okay.
And typically it's usually the way the show works is they have they go and find a house to a realtor, which is like, usually never happens that quick, right? Yeah. They find a house to a realtor say, hey, I got this deal. They go and buy it, and they make $100,000 on it.
Just like that.
I say,
Easy
okay,
math.
I want to do that, right? So, of course, that's not usually how it works, right? But I was watching one episode, and they had a guy that was a wholesaler that was on the show, and they paid the guy a $10,000 assignment fee. I said, okay, what is that, right? So I rewinded it, say, let me figure out what that is. So I ended up Googling what is wholesaling, and that's where everything started, all right? I knew Tom from a previous business, and I was doing some research and trying to figure out places to go, and I saw him speaking. Like he was going to be speaking at one of the events here in Houston.
Okay. Did you know he was in real estate?
I didn't know he was in real estate.
Interesting.
Yeah. It had been like 10 years since I'd seen him last. I saw that he was in real estate and reached out to him. And from there, I got the business going, right? Okay. I started doing some marketing, and we were able to take off from there.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So how long were you doing? So you hooked up with Tom and started getting a little more knowledge to the business and learning how to do things. Did you ever have a desire to flip, or once you got a hold of wholesaling, it was always wholesaling?
I think for me, I really didn't know because I didn't know much about the business, right? I had a Maybe a desire for flipping, but that's only because that's what I was seeing on TV.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't really understand. Yeah, I didn't really understand the wholesaling part of it. But I quickly got in my lane and decided the wholesaling was going to be my thing.
I think what most people don't realize is to be a wholesaler, you've got to be better at sales and marketing.
Correct.
Than everybody else in this business. You've got to be better than the flippers. You've got to be better than the buy and hold guys. You've got to be better than the builders. You have to have a skill set that makes you better to acquire that property at a price that you can still get it to those folks and still run your business. So a lot of people, they think that's the no money way to get in, right? So that's where they want to start. But what I don't think they realize is that you have to build a whole business model around wholesaling, right? You've got the disposition side, the acquisition side, all that. If you're trying to build a flip business, you have to do something completely different. And a lot of people lose focus that way, I think.
Right.
So what were some of the challenges that you faced early on when you first got started?
Yeah, so it's just like you said, right? In the beginning, when you're getting into wholesaling, a lot of people think that it's just like what you see on TV or you see on the internet, or you see someone put out that they got $100,000 check. They spent $100, they got $100,000 check, and it's just not that easy because this is really a sales and marketing game. And for most people, for most sides of it, the wholesaling business is probably the hardest thing to become successful at, because you have to be a master marketer and wholesaling. Versus flipping, versus being a landlord, you can go buy a property from a wholesaler or from a realtor. But we have to be able to buy the property at the cheapest, rate, which is, it takes a lot of marketing, and it takes some serious sales skills to make that happen. So I think for me, it's having the reality of what it's really going to take to be successful at this business. And I think a lot of people who are getting started, they have the kind of the false understanding of what it takes to be successful. Whether it takes for them, they think, okay, I'm going to send out 500 mailers in this market.
Get my first deal, and then I'll be off and running.
So you may get lucky, right?
It happens.
And it happens, right?
Yeah.
But consistently, it won't happen,
Yeah.
right? You got to send out a lot more mail, or you got to spend a lot more time. So being able to determine which one you have. If you have time or money, you need to figure out which one you have and go after.
Deploy one of those resources.
Right.
So when you first started, you were doing, and I came kind of from the school of hard knocks too in the beginning, where setting up a print shop in your living room and right until your fingers fall off and cutting your tongue, licking all the envelopes and all that kind of stuff.
At least my wife was, yes.
Yeah. So in the beginning, you were still working full time. How did you balance that? Because whether we have a lot of students that come to us and they just want to expose their resources, right? Typically monetary resources, not time. They just want to expose their resources and build this thing passively.
Right.
But then you've got other folks that may have, some monetary resources but more time, and they want to, start to build something that they can scale. But oftentimes, because they're still working full time, that gets in the way. So tell me a little bit about that in the beginning and how that was for you.
Yeah, so it's funny. I was talking to somebody about this last night at one of the networking events, and when you first get started, and of course most people are on the job still, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I needed to be able to do this business either around my break, which was kind of in the middle of the day or whenever I could take off, in the morning or in the evening times.
Yeah.
Right. So what I did was I made sure my marketing was around the areas that I can get to very quickly.
Okay.
So I can go out, see appointments.
So you weren't running down to Missouri City on your lunch break.
Couldn't do that in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Unless I want to get fired, right?
Yeah.
And I needed the job to be able to have the money to be able to
more
market,
marketing.
right?
Yeah.
And so at least for me, I didn't have the moxie to just leave my job right away, and some people do, but I feel like you can be more successful if you use that money and deploy it correctly. Then it'll speed up the process, and you'll have an easy transition when you leave your job. But like I said, for me, I started off with bandit signs and direct mail.
Yeah.
And the thing about bandit signs is I could put them in the areas where I can get to very quickly. All right. A lot of them were close around the areas because I was working in the suburbs around the north side of Houston, and so I was able to put those bandit signs in the areas where I can get to very quickly. And the same thing with direct mail. I can put them in the areas where
the houses
marketing
geographically.
So only did those type of marketing channels where I can control. There were some areas sometimes when the seller was somewhere else, and that just happens. People see your
they're
sign
up from Baytown. They saw your sign. They took a picture of it. They called a few days later.
Right. So that's how it all started. And then the way I would do it is I would just tell people that I only have times available, and it just made it sound like I was busy, right? But I had work to do.
2 slots open tomorrow,
right? And so that's what I did. And so I would tell people, hey, I have some time available between 2 and 3 tomorrow, or I can do it 6 and 7. So it depends on what time of the year it was. I can go late in the evening. And then I went out and to those appointments, and that's how it all got started. I just kind of worked around. I worked a lot on the weekend. And you have to determine is why you're doing this business, right? And that's where I was. And because I had a strong why and I was passionate, I was a person that, I worked on the weekends. I worked late at night, like you said, at the print shop. My wife and I were kind of doing our own thing where we were handwriting these yellow letters. But we did that, at nighttime. After kids went to bed, we work on that 9, 10 until 2 in the morning. All right. So for most people, at least for me, I had to determine, my why of why I wanted to do this, and I didn't want to have an excuse of why I couldn't do it.
If your why's strong enough, there's no excuse that don't matter.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people, and it's not. So, we sit down with so many people, and they come in and they say, oh, I want to do this. I want to make $100,000 a year passively. And you're like, okay, that's great. Why?
Yeah.
Right? And they don't know.
That's true.
And it's they have these dreams or goals, right? But they haven't actually sat down, put them to paper, broke them down, and then found out the real reason, why they want to do something.
Right.
And for me, that's one of the most important things is not only to know why you're doing it, but to understand where you are, so you can figure out the most efficient way to get where you're trying to go. Right. You got some guy that comes in.
2 minutes.
He wants to make $100,000 a year passively. That's great. What's the most you've ever made working full time?
Right.
Oh, 40 grand. Okay, there's a gap there.
We
right?
got some work to do.
We've got some work to do.
Yeah.
Now, is it possible? Sure, but
Yeah.
what's got to change is your mindset.
Right.
Because the guy that's making 40 grand a year, being involved, working full time, is not the same mindset of a person that's going to make $100,000 a year passively.
Right.
Whether it's through building a wholesaling business or building a rental portfolio or anything like that.
Yeah, and that person has to be able to reverse engineer that goal also.
That's what it's all about.
So once they get that, they figure out the reason why they want to do it, and then it's to work backwards. So whatever that goal is, if that's a 10-year or 5-year goal, they need to work that backwards so they get that down to a year goal, and then break it down to quarters. All right, so you know exactly, okay, I need to do this type of marketing. I need to see this amount of properties. I need to talk to X amount of wholesalers and realtors in order to reach that goal.
Run your metrics.
And most people don't do that, and that's why they fall short.
Absolutely. So after the break, we're going to talk a little more with Undrea from Drayco Properties Wholesale Nation. We're going to
1 minute.
Find out how he knew when it was time to quit his job. So stay tuned through the break, and we'll talk more about that after the break. We'd love to get some questions from you guys today. 713-785-1817. That's 713-785-1817. We'll see you after the break.
Mics are off.
Sorry, I cut you a little quick there.
It's got to be hard to finish right on time.
Well, it's not just finishing right on time, but in your mind, right? A minute is so much faster than it really is.
Well, you don't want to start a thought.
Exactly, and then get stuck.
Right.
Hey guys, I'm gonna bring y'all back, but I'm gonna step away from the mic for a little bit, and I'll tell you when I come back.
Okay.
To help you with repair costs.
Good morning, Javier. Good morning, Glenn, Ashley, Jorge. What's up?
Good
morning, Christine, Charles.
Jet Lending will help you evaluate your deals.
Sham,
for
what's
free
going on?
and
What's
give
up,
you
Andrew?
Feedback on value, cost of repair.
Billy, what's going on,
potential
fellas?
loan amount. Jet Lending is your fast and friendly
What's up,
hard
Jorge?
money source for first-time investors
Jorge, ain't you
and
supposed to be calling
seasoned
people?
professionals. Call 281-872-7800 or email us at info@jetlending.com.
Uh-oh, San Francisco in the house. What's up, Jason?
Famous Third Wednesday Super Investor
Jason, when you
What's
come
up,
back to
Ashley?
Texas?
Lots of fun, lots of great real estate talk. We'll see you there.
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive,
So
you can
Jason
lose
is
a
one
deal
of our students
like
out
that.
of San Francisco.
You need a quick
Okay.
turnaround on quotes, binders.
He's buying
and the
here in
agency
Houston
for that
and
is
comes
Benchmark
down.
Insurance Group of Texas.
That makes
The
sense.
team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset.
From San Francisco,
They know
Right.
what you need and when you need it. It's there for you. Call Houston's leading real estate risk management experts. Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas.
99 wasn't that bad getting over here.
281-569-4353.
It's not.
That's 281-569-4353.
$16 a day.
Or online at
And I'm not trying to sound like that
benchmarkbrokers.com.
cheap guy, but
Right.
$16 a day.
Doors that stick,
It is.
or
It's
sheetrock
like
that's
I
coming
can't
apart.
get. I get
Then you may
on
have
Wednesday. I get
foundation
that
movement.
notification.
Due to
Right.
expansive
$40.
soils in the
Gotcha.
Friday, I
Houston
get that
area,
notification,
probably not a
$40.
question
Right.
of if
I mean,
you
that's
have
twice a
movement
week, man.
that
Yeah, it's
wins.
crazy.
Call
But,
Foundation
you know,
Check.
if you're not
We're
doing
truly
80, like
independent,
you're like getting ran
unbiased
over.
Yeah.
Foundation
No, and I'm doing. You know, I'm doing
Foundation
it.
Check has been in business since
I'm
2009
doing 80.
and has completed over 1,400 evaluations. We're not in the business of repairing foundations or selling you unnecessary peer work, but we are in the business of evaluating your foundation. Our product is designed for house flippers, landlords, or even owner-occupied properties. Each of our files is reviewed by a licensed engineer. Remember to check before ever repair. Call 346-702-3825. That's 346-702-3825. Or you can reach us online at foundationcheck.com. That's foundationcheck.com.
Almost.
You found or inherited a great investment property. Problem is, you don't know how much it's worth, or more importantly, what to do to maximize your investment while mitigating risk. This is exactly why we started Next Gen Appraisals. Next Gen is a group of appraisers specializing in investment real estate. We understand that investors aren't just looking for a number of what their property is worth, but a comprehensive analysis of the market. Give NextGen a call at 713-346-9911 or check us out online at nextgenappraisals.com.
Billy, I don't understand the
Are you
question.
looking
So
for an
his
Back
did
in
the
1 minute.
company name
general
come up?
contractor for your investment property? Then call Fast Track Remodeling at
Maybe edit that.
832-742-9992 or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Fast Track Remodeling specializes in turnkey remodeling of single-family investment properties. Whether it's a flip rehab or a rental rehab, we manage every aspect of a rehab from start to finish with a highly efficient, standardized
Andy.
process.
Over the last
question mark
6
there.
years, Fast Track has completed over 700 projects, which has helped us to create our 3 keys to success. Use a detailed scope of work so that everything gets done, train and maintain quality crews so it gets done right, and complete the work in a proper order so it gets done fast.
No more managing it yourself, no more doing the work yourself. Fast Track Remodeling really does manage
What's up,
it all.
Mr. Famous?
So
Good
give us
morning.
a call today at 832-742-9992. Again, that's
Coming back, stand by.
832-742-9992. Or reach us on the web at
He's asking
fasttrackremodeling.com.
you this question. He wants to know how you
This
came up
is
with your name.
Business 1110.
Drayco. I'm not sure.
I didn't see it. Where's
Hot mics.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Once again, Daniel Gollinger, Right Path Real Estate Radio, joined in the studio with my good friend Undrea King from Drayco Properties. Billy Martinez asked on Facebook, how did he come up with that name? He sat down and he took the second half of his name and he put "co" behind it. So,
There you go.
Drayco.
Drayco, that's exactly how it came up.
I wasn't there when he came up with it,
Right.
But, I'm just taking a guess.
Right.
I'll be right back.
All right, so Andrew's got a question on Facebook. We're going to go ahead and talk about that real quick. Hey, guys, I have a question. I remember we talked about 70% minus repairs for flips. How do you come up with the numbers for how much to purchase a property for a potential rental? So I think both of us would probably answer that question the same way. Here's the deal. You don't go into an appointment buying a property based on your play on the outbound side. You buy every property the exact same way. You don't say, "Oh, I'm buying it. I can," you get yourself into trouble that way. If you buy every property the same way, which, at Houston House Buyers we do. I know at Drayco Properties they go in the exact same way. They buy the property the exact same way, no matter what the plan is on the outside.
Right. And the reason for that is because you want to have multiple exit strategies on this property, right? So at the end of the day, if you go in and you buy that property, even at a wholesale price, then you got multiple options for it. Like, let's say you decide, you know what, this property is not going to work out for what I'm trying to do. Then you can exit off as a flip. You can exit off as a rental. But at the end of the day, if you bought it at a wholesale rate, if you bought it, down at a flip rate, just imagine the deal you have as a landlord and how much equity you have in the property. So always buy that property at if you're marketing, you should be buying it at a wholesale rate. If not, then of course you're going to have to come up because you're not spending that capital on marketing.
And so I would like to talk about that a little bit as well. First, We'll talk about what we promised folks back from the break, and then we'll get a little bit more into the difference between buying a property through your own marketing versus buying from wholesalers, right?
Right.
So I'll let you take over and tell, when did you decide, hey, I'm out of this place, I'm not coming back, I'm out. You chunk deuce and you never went back.
So, that started about, almost like 9 months before I made the decision, right?
Okay.
So 9 months before that is when I got hooked up with RightPath.
Okay.
And I became a student of RightPath. From there, I met met Daniel there. I met my business partner, Andy. But I met a lot of, great people in there and challenged me to get better. And one of the questions I had was, so who do I hire first?
Okay.
Right. And the guy sit down with me and say, well, if you're good at sales and you already have the selling of the properties down, then you need somebody who can take care of the logistics and make the job easy.
Okay.
And so the first person that I brought on was a transaction coordinator.
Okay.
Right. And the purpose of that was to kind of decrease the time that I spent running and getting airships and all that.
It sucks up a day, man.
Sucks up a lot of time. And so that gave me more of my time back, right? And it allowed me to start marketing consistently, more consistently. It allowed me to go see more people because I didn't have to, when I get one transaction, I didn't have to just follow this
and
transaction.
Stop and chase everything to get it closed. So now instead of chasing paperwork, you're chasing more contracts.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So I was able to do that. And, from August of that year, which was, I think, 2016, August of 2016 to the end of the year, I was able to do about 22 deals from that till January. And what I saw there was proof. All right. But what started happening is, for me, is that the job was getting in the way of the business at that point.
Nice.
All right. I found that I was missing deals because I was in meetings. I couldn't get there in time. And when I got on the road to go to the appointment, I called and confirmed. And the guy was like, yep, well, I just sold the property.
Yeah.
Right. And finally, I just had enough of it. Right. I said, okay, I'm at a point where I've replaced my income, but so why am I on this?
Yeah.
All right. And the least that could happen, the worst that can happen is I do 1 or 2 deals a month and I'm still replacing my income.
If it's super slow.
Right. If it's super slow, I can at least sell my way out of it. Right. And so I set a date. All right. And, I set the date for March 20th was my birthday.
Okay. So you set a goal and you backed into it.
I set a goal. And, when I first wrote that down, I was a little scared. I was like, man, am I really going to do this? But I said, okay, I'm going to do it, right? And that's what I did. I set the date. I started working backwards. I started working hard at that point because I knew that, I wanted to run through the line and keep this thing rolling. I wasn't going to take any breaks or anything like that. And, I think for me, it's really not final. Like, you can set a date. But for me, it didn't become final till I sent in my resignation notice.
Yes.
Right. And it's funny. I just ran across that a few days
now
ago.
You're held accountable to it.
Right. I'm thinking
Somebody
about
else
framing
knows
it.
You're leaving.
Yeah.
Oh, you found the actual letter.
I found the actual one.
Awesome.
I was thinking about framing it because that was the day where I finally made the decision.
Yeah.
Because even though I said, okay, it's going to be March 20th,
out,
I
right?
could almost just, not tell anybody and back out. But when I sent that, then it became real.
Yeah.
All right. And so at that point, I knew it was time for me to go, and I left March 20th, 2017.
So even though things were really starting to ramp up for you in your wholesaling business, you were obviously blowing your income out of the water at work. Mm-hmm. But it's amazing how we're trained our whole lives, right, to the employee mentality that even though I'm tripling and quadrupling my income from my job, it's still a scary thing to leave, right? Because we're so used to that security. We're so used
false sense of security.
False sense of security, absolutely. So your story, it's very similar to Tom's when he built Fast Track to as big as it was, and then did his very first wholesale deal, and made a $47,000 assignment on that wholesale deal, and probably had all wrapped up about 3 or 4 hours worth of conversations in that deal, and then he stopped and he thought about that, and he said, for me to do $50,000 in the construction side on a 20% margin, I've got to do $250,000 to make $50,000 in construction. That would take one crew 8 months. Mm-hmm. Which, hey, that's not a bad business,
right?
But what you realize is, in order to have great, you have to let go of good,
right?
And a lot of people really struggle with that because, we're in such a blessed country, we're in such a blessed time that good is taken for granted already, right? We're just so used to it. We think we're owed it. But we don't want to let go of it.
Right.
And so in order to grade is typically just right outside the reach. You can't hold on to both at the same time.
Right.
And most people they'll try to reach for great, but they can't get it, so they'll go back. Right.
Right.
So what you did and what Tom did and what we see people do to really take the next steps in their lives is they've just, even if it's just for a second, they'll let go.
Right.
And then reach out and grab great.
Right.
So.
And the funny thing is that you realize it's not that bad and scary after you actually do it.
It's not.
Right?
It's the false evidence appearing real,
yeah.
right?
And that's where I kind of fell in, is that at first I thought it was going to be a scary leap, but when I got into it, it's like, hey, you know what? That wasn't so bad, right?
Yeah.
And in reality, when I was on the job, you usually have other people making decisions for you, and sometimes they're not the right decisions.
Exactly.
So I said, if I'm going to make a bad decision, just let me make the decision.
There you go.
And own it, right?
Yeah.
And so now, we kind of get to control our own destiny, and we get to help a lot of people while we're doing it.
It's funny you mentioned control, because I find a lot of people, our tagline is, people lack control in their financial future, right? Once we help them create wealth through real estate, then they're confident in their future.
Right.
But what we're starting to realize is the more and more people we talk to, we get people in the room all the time and we say, hey, you're a successful guy, you've got a 401k, IRA, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. What's it in? What are you invested in? Oh, some mutual funds. Okay, well, but break it down. What's inside that mutual fund? Do you know? And they don't know.
No, they did 25% here, 10% on this one, 50%.
But they don't really. They don't know like what they're buying. They don't know how much they're buying it for. They just they lack control. Right. And a conversation that was relayed to me one time was. From an older lady who was at retirement age and was having a conversation about getting into real estate. Mm-hmm. And the reason she was scared to do that was because as long as she's not controlling her retirement, she's not responsible if something goes wrong.
Okay.
Right? But if she were getting into real estate, she would be in control, and if something went wrong, then it would be her fault. Right? Which for you, that's exactly what you wanted, right? But for some people, that's a fear, right?
Right.
As long as it's not my fault. If things go wrong, it's not in my hands. It's not my fault. And what we realize is, that lack of control and that hope and a prayer is not a very good strategy when it comes to retirement planning. So you left the job, and at that point, you started to build a team, right, and start to grow pretty quickly. We mentioned earlier, I think we're probably up against the break, but we can get started on it now. We mentioned earlier, we were talking about, Andrew brought up a good point. He was asking, how do you decide how to buy a property, right? Mm-hmm. And, if you want to keep it as a buy and hold, do you pay more and things like that? So what we see a lot of times is, wholesalers in this business aren't necessarily doing things the correct way, right? So they're going into an appointment with the seller, and they're signing it up for whatever the seller wants.
2 minutes to break,
and they're hoping that they're going to be able to go out and find somebody that might not know enough or whatever. Or they say, you know what, I think I can sell this at a 10% discount, so I'm going to try to get it at a 12% discount, right? And as wholesalers, we realize that not only hurts them, but it hurts the market. Right. So what is your opinion on that kind of thing?
Yeah. So, that's the part I'm really passionate about. And I know we're going to be up against the break on this one, so we'll probably talk on the other half. But we put together an entire meetup just for this situation. Right. So we have Wholesale Nation, and basically it's basically to train wholesalers how to buy properties correctly. And so what we saw is that the wholesalers were getting a bad name in the marketplace because of those situations, right? Going in and buying properties too high and still trying to get their $10,000 or $15,000 assignment fee on top of the price that
even though they only left about $400 in the deal.
Yeah, they're buying it at 80%, but because they're thinking, okay, well, I still need to make $10,000. Then they say, well, I'll just take up the ARV and I'll bring down the repair number. Well, you just can't do that, right? It doesn't work that way. The ARV is the ARV, and the repairs are the repairs. But they do that to try to trick the buyer into buying the property
because they didn't buy it right to begin with. That makes me think of something Dave Sandler. For those of you that aren't familiar with Dave Sandler, he's no longer with us, but he was a real big sales training guy. He mentions in one of his books that it's not just your responsibility for you when you're on appointment. Mm-hmm. You also are responsible for training that buyer or that seller for the next guy, right?
Right.
And so in wholesaling, what happens is you mentioned it gives a bad name. Right. So what happens is somebody will go in and really do a seller wrong.
Right.
And it gives a bad name for our industry to that person. So then when you or myself or somebody else is the next guy in front of that person, now they're super cautious, they're super weary, and it's hard for them to trust because they've been taken advantage of by somebody else.
Right.
So we'll talk more about that on the other side of the break. Please feel free to give us a call, 713-785-1817, and we'll see you guys on the other side.
Mics are off.
What's up, Jeremy? What's up, Raymond? Rich Nickel. Matt from Corpus. Sonia, what's going on?
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal like that. You need a quick turnaround on quotes or binders? The agency for that is Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas.
So we'll have one more segment.
Benchmark understands the investment
Then we'll have a
mindset.
commercial break, and
They
then
know
it'll be
what
just
you
a
need and
small,
when you
quick
need
little
it.
4
We're here
minutes.
for you.
Okay.
Are you a rehabber, wholesaler, buy and hold, or flipper? Bundling your properties on a single policy will help save time and money. Benchmark has been in business for over 10 years, and we insure over 30,000 properties. Contact Benchmark about our exclusive investor package. Call us and let us show you what we can do for you at 281-569-4353. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com. That's benchmarkbroker.com. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com.
Hello, real estate investors. Do you need a lender that moves fast at the speed of a jet to fund your investment properties? Jet Lending will help you purchase properties quickly with as little cash out of pocket as possible. Jet Lending also sets up a repair escrow fund to help you with repair costs. Jet Lending is your fast and friendly hard money source for first-time investors and seasoned professionals. Call 281-872-7800 or email us at info@jetlending.com.
You found or inherited a great investment property. Problem is, you don't know how much it's worth, or more importantly, what to do to maximize your investment while mitigating risk. This is exactly why we started Next Gen Appraisals. Next Gen is a group of appraisers specializing in investment real estate. We understand that investors aren't just looking for a number of what their property is worth, but a comprehensive analysis of the market.
It's a time
Give
machine.
Next Gen a call at 713-346-9911 or check us out online at nextgenappraisals.com.
Are you looking for
2
an
minutes to
investor-friendly general contractor for your investment property? Then call Fast Track Remodeling at 832-742-9992 or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Fast Track Remodeling specializes in turnkey remodeling of single-family investment properties. Whether it's a flip rehab or a rental rehab, we manage every aspect of a rehab from start to finish with a highly efficient, standardized process.
Over the last 6
Chris,
years,
you said you weren't going to be the
Fast Track has
permanent
completed
guy.
over
You're still
700
looking for somebody,
projects,
right?
which has helped us to create
Excuse
our
me, sir?
three keys
You said
to
you weren't going to be
success.
our permanent guy. They were
Use a
still looking
detailed
for somebody
scope of
else.
work so that everything
Yes, sir.
gets
Yes,
done.
they're
Train and maintain
still trying to hire
quality
someone else,
crews
but
so
for
it
now,
gets
I'll be
done
the
right,
guy.
and complete the work in a proper order so it gets done fast.
No more managing it yourself. No
All
more
right,
doing
so I'll
the work
give you,
yourself.
Billy, if
Fast
you're
Track
still
Remodeling
listening,
really does
I'll give
manage
you
it
the
all.
real reason
So
how
give us a
Drayco
call
came up.
today at
So both of my sons
742-9992.
have my
Again,
name
that's
also, and my name has an unusual spelling, so I didn't want to
or
be
reach us on the web at
Undrea. I didn't want them
fasttrackremodeling.com.
to mess up the Undrea.
1 minute to come back.
So a lot of people call me Dre for short. So Dre is my older son is Dre's son, which is Drayson, and I have one Draylon, and Drayco was actually Dre's company, and that's how we came up with that name. So there you go.
So he can pass this on to the next generation and not worry about changing the name.
There you go.
Over 1,400 evaluations. We're not in the business of repairing foundations or selling you unnecessary peer work, but we are in the business of evaluating your foundation. Our product is designed for house flippers, landlords, or even owner-occupied properties. Each of our files is reviewed by a licensed engineer.
You remember that guy
to
Matt
check
Downs, don't you?
Before every repair. Call
Corpus Christi, Texas, represented.
702-3825. That's 346-702-3825.
He used to come around every now and then.
Or
We
you
ain't
can
seen
reach us
him.
online at
Too busy.
foundationcheck.com. That's
Come back, stand by.
foundationcheck.com.
This is Business 1110.
Hot mics.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Daniel Gollinger, Right Path Real Estate, 713-785-1817. Still joined in studio by my good friend Undrea King, talking a little wholesaling today. Please feel free to shoot over any questions you got on Facebook or call in and get on the air with us. We'd love to have your chat. So talk to me a little bit more about how things are now in the market and what you see. Have you seen any changes over the last 6 months to a year? You feeling any different shifts from when you first got started?
Yeah, so definitely a different shift. And, I'll start from the marketing side of it is that, of course, when we had Harvey come in, we saw a lot of people enter the marketplace. A lot of people started getting into not only wholesaling, but just marketing in general because they saw a lot of opportunity. A lot of people from outside of the state. We saw contractors, just about everyone come into Houston, right? And so it literally flooded the market is what we saw. And and so we saw bandit signs on every corner. A lot of mail started going, and we did, start seeing an uptick in cost per buy started going up, over the last year. And so now we just gotten more strategic in how we market. You can't just throw marketing at it. I heard somebody use that term. Just throw some marketing at it. Now you have to be a little bit more strategic in how you market, so you can keep those costs down. But I think as we go into 2019, November, December has been great for us.
Yeah.
We're seeing an uptick, and we look forward to 2019.
Yeah,
right?
And you hear that from everybody. Oh, the holidays are the slow time, and it's like that's because you turned your marketing on.
Right.
Right.
Just the opposite. Right.
We had. November was so busy.
Right.
It was just. Absolutely nuts. So Andrew's got a follow-up question here. So let's touch on that real quick. And I think we started to earlier and probably got off on something else. But he says, I have a follow-up question. My partner and I started marketing. We started our marketing on 12/1. While we're still trying to wait for deals to come in the pipeline and get the machine rolling, what do we do now if we're buying from wholesalers? If the wholesaler is getting the property at 70% minus repairs, how much should we expect to pay to get it from them? So I think at that point, if you refer back to your earlier question, when you're buying from a wholesaler, you can determine what your exit strategy is on the property, right? If you're buying that from a wholesaler, he's already done the sales and the marketing, which is the hardest part, right, in this business. The sales and the marketing is the hardest part. So when you're buying a deal from a wholesaler, you haven't spent that money on sales, you haven't spent that money on marketing, plus the time that you would have involved in it yourself. So that's where the wholesaler brings value to the marketplace. So when you're trying to buy a deal from a wholesaler at the same price that you would get it from if you were doing your own marketing, there's a disconnect there, right?
Right.
So if you're looking to turn that into a buy and hold property, right, can you pay 90% for it? Can you pay 95% for it? That all depends on what the deal itself looks like and what the rents are in that market, right? Is your goal to capture equity on the front side? Is it a cash flow goal? Is it a combination of the two, right? So every deal is going to look a little bit different, but if you're looking to flip that deal, I know flippers that buy from wholesalers that will pay 75, 78%,
right?
Because that 5 or 8% is what they would have spent on the marketing and sales. So I think that's very reasonable to expect to pay that to a wholesaler.
Right. And so based on your question, I'm assuming that you're wanting to do some buy and hold. And so it goes back to, like Daniel said, you have to figure out what your time is going to be worth. The other thing you got to look at is what is that opportunity loss, right? So the time that you're trying to get the right property on your marketing is how many properties could have had at that point that are appreciating, that are cash flowing. And in reality, in most cases, you're saving a few $1,000s. So from a cost standpoint, you're looking at about $3,000 to $5,000 to acquire property. And that's when you're like running and gunning, right? So you got your business going, you're marketing, you're getting great at sales. You're anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 to get a deal. All right. So you want to calculate that into buying from a wholesaler. All right. The other thing is, how much time did that take? How many appointments did you have to go on?
Exactly.
Right. And buying from a wholesaler is just like marketing. You're going to have to see a lot of properties.
Yeah.
If every property that we went on was a great deal and the person sold it to us, then we'd all be cajillionaires, right? So you have to go and talk to a lot of wholesalers. You have to look at a lot of deals, right? Have a conversation with them. go to their office, have them come to you, meet you for coffee, and explain to them exactly what you're looking for. The good ones that are out there, and then what'll happen is that they'll reach out to you first. But build a great relationship with some of the good ones that are out there. They'll start bringing you deals so you can look at, and then they'll have an idea of how to market. Right, and you can help them evaluate the deals and get them better.
And I think you hit, the nail on the head right there. This business, if you haven't heard Tom say it a million times, I'll say it one more time. This is a relationship business. I don't care if you're building it on the active side. I don't care if you're trying to build a passive portfolio. Right, you've got relationships with wholesalers, you've got relationships with contractors on the active side, and everybody else in between, insurance guys, you name it. If you're doing this active or passively and you're hardly even being involved in the deal, you've got a relationship with a banker. You've got to have a relationship with the person that's bringing you the deal, who's overseeing the deal for you, whether it's a realtor or somebody else that's kind of covering your back. It's all about relationships, and I think a lot of times people try to shortcut a relationship over a few dollars. Right. And, like he said, you might save $2,000, $3,000 on a deal, by trying to get it cheaper from the wholesaler or waiting to get that right deal from your own marketing. But what is the opportunity cost? Like Andre said, a lot of people say, well, what does that cost? Well, how much does it cost if you don't do it? Right. You'll hear Tom talk about, when he used to be in the vitamin business. People would say, hey, Tom, how much are your vitamins? And he's like, well, if you take them or don't take them. Right. Either way, there's a cost to what you're doing or not doing. And I think a lot of times people don't sit back and figure out the cost of not doing something or the cost, the backside of it. They figure out what it costs them, but they don't figure out if they don't do it, what it costs on the other side. And I think a lot of people sell themselves and their businesses short because of that.
Right. And, from a wholesaler standpoint, you have to look at what the market is buying at. And in most cases, if you're buying in suburban areas from a wholesaler, in most cases, you're not getting it below 80%. Because that's, most people are buying at that and they're okay with it because they see their opportunity. They don't have time to do the marketing. A lot are on the job and want to be able to make a passive income outside of it, versus, like Daniel said, versus a 401k making them money. And that's a good thing. So they're buying it a lot cheaper than what they could get from the retail market, and it just makes sense for them. Yeah. So those are the things to consider when you're purchasing from a wholesaler, but definitely shop around. Don't look at it and say, well, that guy doesn't have great deals, or they don't evaluate the deals correctly. Well, that's going to happen. That's a part of it.
I think a lot of it too is, when I'm dealing with students and things like that, they'll come to me and say, hey, I'm getting a lot of deals from wholesalers and the numbers just never make sense. Right. And I've heard people, talk about, Drayco Properties, but, even at Houston House Buyers, I get compliments all the time. It's like, you guys are some of the only people in the market that if you give a number, it's you can tell that you were trying to be as spot on as possible. Right. And a lot of times it's not always that the wholesaler may not be intentionally trying to deceive you. Mm-hmm. Maybe they are, but I don't think that's always the case. Right. I think more often than not, the wholesaler may not have access to the same information you have. Right. They may not have MLS access to get real so they really don't have that information. So the problem is people are waiting for somebody to email them a deal and email them into wealth. And that's not how it works. You get these deals in your inbox. You've got to run your own numbers. You've got to decide what makes the deal make sense for you. And at that point, you start making offers to those wholesalers. I can't tell you, it's the same thing when a seller calls and says, hey, I want to sell my house. I want $120,000. Do you go out and write a check for $120,000? No, you go look at the house. You evaluate it. You run numbers that make sense. You explain to the seller why you can only pay this. Right. And then you negotiate with the seller. Well, the wholesaler can be done, it's the exact same situation. Exact same. Right? So if the wholesaler's numbers don't make sense to you, make your offer based on your numbers. So I coach people on that all the time, and it's kind of like a light bulb for them. They're like, oh, you can do that?
Right, and that's where most people make the mistake is they don't make that offer. You have to go out and make that offer because then that also goes back to the wholesaler. And if he's had or she's had 5 or 6 people say the exact same thing,
yes,
their numbers are off.
Yeah,
right.
And then they start to realize,
Right.
okay, I need to tweak my buying process a little bit. Maybe I overpaid,
Right.
just because they may not necessarily know.
Yeah, and they may have to go back to that. They may have to go back to the seller and renegotiate, because at the end of the day, if they don't renegotiate, they're not going to sell the property, and the seller is not going to get what they were trying to get out of the deal. So give them some feedback that'll help them out. That's what we're doing in Wholesale Nation. Is we're trying to get it to where people can evaluate properties properly, and that's what we're doing with
Say that fast 3 times.
Yeah, I know, hon. So that's our whole thing with Drayco. Like what Daniel said, we want people to make a decision on the asset. We don't want them to look at, did we get the ARV correct, the after repair value? Did we get the repairs correct? We don't want them to be fighting over that part of it. We want them to decide, is this the asset that I want to purchase? Right?
Absolutely.
And because I know everything else is correct. If it's at 70%, 80%, 90%, they can feel confident that it's at 90%. All right. And then they can just make a decision and not fight us over, is this correct? Is that correct?
Absolutely. So, I think at the end of the day, it's working with people you trust and building those relationships. And oftentimes it's not necessarily, the first deal you get from a wholesaler in your inbox, and you start to make offers. And, as you continue to work together, you'll get to kind of understand each other a little bit and become more comfortable to where you can have those conversations a little easier. I think a lot of people in the beginning are afraid to make another offer or even ask, the wholesaler to explain their numbers. And, like you said, sit down for coffee, go over the deal, go walk the house, make your offers that way. At the end of the day, I think building relationships in this business, no matter if you're on the active or the passive side, it's going to be beneficial to your long-term goals for sure. So we'll be right back after the break. See you guys on the other side.
Mics are off.
Jose's got deals that make sense, y'all. Next level acquisitions.
Yeah, that's funny.
I think we almost bought a deal from you, didn't we?
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal.
I guess we never bought it, but I think we were
close.
close.
Need a quick turnaround on quotes or binders? The agency for that is Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. The team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset.
Same question.
They know what you need and when you need it. We're here for you. Are you a rehabber, wholesaler, buy and hold, or flipper?
All right, this last segment is the short segment.
Short segment will help save time and money. Benchmark has been in business for over 10 years, and we insure over 30,000 properties. Contact Benchmark about our exclusive investor package. Call us and let us show you what we can do for you at 281-569-4353. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com. That's benchmarkbroker.com. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com.
Are you looking for an investor-friendly general contractor for your investment property?
Yes, I am.
Then call Fast Track Remodeling at 832-742-9992 or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Fast Track Remodeling specializes in turnkey remodeling of single-family investment properties. Whether it's a flip rehab or a rental rehab, we manage every aspect of a rehab from start to finish with a highly efficient, standardized process.
What do we have in the last segment?
Over the last 6 years, Fast Track has completed over 700 projects, which has helped us to create our 3 keys to success. Use a detailed scope of work so that everything gets done, train and maintain quality crews so it gets done right, and complete the work in a proper order so it gets done fast.
No more managing it yourself, no more doing the work yourself. Fast Track Remodeling really does manage it all.
So give us a call today at 832-742-9992. Again, that's 832-742-9992, or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Selecting a foundation company and their product for repair is a lot like a game of chance. You simply don't know what you're going to get. The foundation repair industry as a whole doesn't carry a license, nor is it regulated. However, Foundation Check utilizes professional engineers to review all of our files to give you the best foundation analysis in today's market. Remember to check.
Did you share at the beginning and then again in the middle?
Yeah. Call 346-702-3825. Or you can reach us online at foundationcheck.com.
And then I'll be getting comments on my
a minute 30 to come back.
And won't see them because I'm on the right path.
Fast at the speed of a jet.
Other people will be commenting on that
Jet
post
Lending will help you
simultaneously.
purchase properties
So I won't
quickly
see them till
with
later.
as little cash out of pocket as possible. Jet Lending also sets up a repair escrow fund to help you with repair costs. Jet Lending has originated over 2,000 loans in Texas valued at over $250 million. Jet Lending will help you evaluate your deals for free and give you feedback on value, cost of repairs, and potential loan amount. Jet Lending is your fast and friendly hard money source for first-time investors and seasoned professionals. Call 281-872-7800 or email us at info@jetlending.com. Oh, and don't forget about our famous Third Wednesday Super Investor Networking Meeting. Lots of fun, lots of great real estate talk. We'll see you there.
Except not this month. January is the next one.
All right, that's
You
right.
found
December.
or inherited
30
a
seconds
great
and come back.
investment property. Problem is, you don't
We
know
started
how
to
much
take
it's
December
worth,
off,
or more
but
importantly,
we had a pretty
what
good
to do
turnout.
to
Yeah,
maximize
especially
your
for December.
investment while
Well,
mitigating
different
risk.
when you're inside
This is
versus
exactly
outside.
I
why
guess
we
so.
started Next Gen Appraisal.
Yeah.
It's
Next
rough.
Gen
Yeah,
is
it
a
would be
group of appraisers
It was rough
cold in
specializing in
December. I didn't
investment
think
real
about
estate.
that.
Get that cup from
We
me. Thanks, buddy.
understand that investors aren't just looking
Sound
for
guy,
a number of what their property is
guy,
worth, but a comprehensive analysis
Content guy,
of the market.
trash
Everything.
guy.
Give
He
Next
does
Gen a
everything.
call at
Shout out to Andy Hunt.
713-346-9911
Making it happen.
Coming back,
or
stand
check
by.
us out online at nextgenappraisals.com.
This is Business 1110.
Hot mics.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Daniel Gollinger, Right Path Real Estate. We are still joined in the studio with my good friend Undrea King. We've been talking wholesaling. Andrew's got another question. Wait, what are you taking off in December? Do y'all still have the... Of course we do, Andrew. If y'all are coming back, we'd love to have you. We were talking about the Jet Lending event that they do every third Wednesday. We saw you out there this past Wednesday. They will not be doing one in December. They take the month of December off. So we've had some great conversation talking about wholesaling and kind of clarifying some things for some folks, which has been fun. So quick question for you. Mm-hmm. Being one of the early adapters in Right Path, you kind of, because you knew Tom and you had some trust with him before Right Path was Right Path, right? You kind of came along and joined up with those guys and helped grow your business, but you were an integral part of them building Right Path and mentoring other students and things like that. And even now, it's really awesome, especially for me to see the whole cycle because from where you were then and now where you are now, and you've got a servant's heart, so now you're giving back, to other people to kind of help people get a step into the game, like you did. And so if you had to go back and if your entire experience with Right Path had to be summed up in one sentence, am I putting you on the spot?
No.
Maybe. Okay, so give me that sentence and what that would be for you.
So entire time with Right Path, I would say it's being with the right people who have been where you're trying to go, right? And that's what I saw. I had some validation.
Yeah.
When I got into it, I said that would probably be the biggest thing is some of the things that you're doing in your business, like the questions that people are asking.
2 minutes.
A lot of times you know the answer to it, but you don't have validation.
Yeah.
And you don't have peers because they are not in the, you don't have other people because they're not in the business, but having someone who's already been there and has done it.
Yeah.
And when going to these guys and saying, hey, so this is what I'm doing with marketing. And they can say, okay, keep doing that. That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe tweak this a little bit.
Nice.
Okay. And so then it gave me confidence to step and really go after it, because when you're first getting started, you don't know that what you're doing is correct.
What if?
What if? And everything you look at is online. And so so you're online, you're looking Google and YouTube, and you say, okay, well,
Plenty
they
of
said to do
information.
this, do this. But you don't know if that's the right answer
Yeah.
until you actually know someone that's actually doing it that can say, yes, that is correct, continue to do it. And then you can go full force.
Awesome. And I think a lot of times too is what people don't realize is if you're online, you can find the exact opposite of the argument that you found from another person, right?
Right.
There, you hear all the time we're a society
1 minute,
filled with information but starving for wisdom, right? And I think when you have somebody that can give you that validation, it kind of helps you not just feel confident that you were doing the right thing, but when you step forward, right? When somebody tells you, hey, you can't see it, but there's a bridge there, right? You're okay with, taking that next step forward off the cliff because the person is standing in front of you on the bridge, right? As opposed to somebody behind you going, yeah, it's okay, just step out. So Awesome. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but
That's all right.
You did very well. So I'd like to give a huge shout out to Andre. I've learned a lot from you over our several year relationship, and
20
we'll
seconds.
continue to do so. I know, and appreciate everything that we've been able to do together, and the things that you've contributed to Right Path, and happy to see
10 seconds.
the growth that you've experienced through Right Path, and even now as you're starting to blow up even more. So thanks for coming out, and hope to have you back soon.
All right. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Mics are off.
All right, Chris. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Next time.
Goodbye, Facebook.